Have you ever woken up feeling exhausted even though you did everything right the day before? You ate what you thought was healthy, drank fruit juice instead of soda, maybe even told yourself, I'm taking care of my body, but deep down something feels off. Your energy is lower. Your face looks a little swollen in the morning. And no matter how much coffee you drink, that heaviness just doesn't go away. Now here's the part most people never see coming. You can lose nearly half of your kidney function without feeling pain, without warning signs, without your body ever sounding the alarm. By the time your doctor casually mentions that your creatinine is slightly elevated, the damage may have been building silently for years. And what makes this truly dangerous is that it's often not caused by junk food, alcohol, or obvious bad habits. In many cases, the trigger is hiding inside the very foods you trust the most. The fruits on your breakfast table. The smoothie you drink every morning thinking it's protecting your health. What if the routine you believe is helping you stay young and healthy is actually pushing your kidneys closer to failure without you realizing it? But don't turn this video off yet, because this story doesn't end in fear. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how certain healthy fruits can quietly overload weakened kidneys, and more importantly, which specific fruits can do the opposite. Fruits that help lower inflammation, reduce creatinine stress, and give your kidneys the breathing room they need to recover. And once you understand this difference, you'll never look at your breakfast the same way again. Let's start with a truth that makes many people uncomfortable, because it goes against everything we've been taught about eating healthy. Fruit itself is not the enemy. In fact, when your kidneys are strong, they can easily handle potassium, natural sugars, and phosphorus without any problem at all. Your body filters them, balances them, and moves on. But when kidney function starts to decline even slightly, the exact same nutrients can quietly turn into something very different. This is where things become dangerous. High potassium doesn't just sit harmlessly in your blood. It builds up like an electrical charge, increasing the risk of irregular heart rhythms. Elevated phosphorus slowly stiffens the tiny blood vessels inside your kidneys, making filtration harder day by day. And fructose, the sugar found naturally in fruit, fuels inflammation and oxidative stress inside kidney tissue that is already struggling to heal. I want you to picture a patient I once worked with. Let's call him Daniel. Early 60s, never drank soda, never touched fast food. Every morning he did what he believed was the healthiest thing possible. 2 bananas, a large glass of orange juice, and a bowl of melon. He felt proud of that routine. But 6 months later, his blood work told a very different story. His creatinine had crept up steadily, even though nothing else in his lifestyle had changed. Here's the part that shocked him. That single breakfast contained more potassium than his weakened kidneys could safely remove in an entire day. Hour after hour, his kidneys were forced to work overtime, pushing against a load they simply weren't designed to handle anymore. It wasn't one bad meal, it was repetition, the same healthy choice day after day, quietly accelerating kidney strain. Science backs this up. Studies published in Diabetes Care and Kidney International show that individuals with early kidney dysfunction who regularly consume high potassium, high fructose fruits experience a significantly faster decline in filtration rate compared to those who choose low potassium alternatives. In one analysis, progression was up to 28% faster, not because of junk food, but because of foods assumed to be safe. And this is the key takeaway you need to hear clearly. What is safe for a healthy person is not automatically safe for someone with weakened kidneys. Nutrition is not one size fits all. When kidney function changes, the rules change with it. But understanding what harms your kidneys is only the first step. Because once you remove the overload, there are specific fruits that can actually reduce the burden on your kidneys instead of increasing it. And the first one is so simple, so overlooked, that most people never realize how powerful it truly is. Now here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Once you understand that certain fruits can overload weakened kidneys, the next question becomes obvious. Is there any fruit that actually helps instead of harms? And the answer is yes, but it's not exotic, expensive, or trendy. It's something so ordinary that most people overlook it completely. The apple. When kidney function starts to decline, the goal isn't to force the kidneys to work harder. It's to reduce their workload. And apples do something unique that most fruits don't. They act like a secondary filtration system outside the kidneys. One medium apple contains relatively low potassium, making it safe even for people with moderate kidney impairment. But potassium isn't the real magic here. The real power lies in a soluble fiber called pectin. Pectin works inside your digestive tract, binding to excess toxins and phosphorus before they ever reach your bloodstream. Instead of forcing your kidneys to filter everything, pectin escorts waste out through the intestines. In simple terms, it gives your kidneys backup. Less pressure, less strain, more breathing room. I remember a patient named Harold, late 50s, early stage kidney disease. He told me, "Doc, I feel like my kidneys are tired." That phrase stuck with me. We didn't add supplements. We didn't overhaul his entire diet. We made one simple change. One apple a day eaten slowly with the peel. 3 months later, his phosphorus levels improved, his creatinine stabilized, and his energy felt noticeably steadier. He said something I'll never forget. "It feels like my body finally stopped fighting itself." The science supports this. Research published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that individuals consuming higher amounts of soluble fiber had up to 25% better phosphorus control compared to those on low-fiber diets. Another study showed that apple polyphenols, especially quercetin and chlorogenic acid, can reduce kidney-related inflammation by as much as 30 to 35%. That's not a small effect. That's real measurable relief at the cellular level. There's another reason apples matter, especially if blood sugar is part of your kidney story. Apples have a low glycemic index, meaning they release sugar slowly into the bloodstream. That protects the delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys from sudden glucose spikes, which are known to accelerate kidney damage over time. This isn't about doing something extreme. It's about consistency. One apple, most days. With the peel, no powders, no detoxes, just steady support day after day. But apples don't work by attacking inflammation directly. They create the conditions for healing. And that raises a critical question. What happens when we introduce a fruit that doesn't just support the kidneys, but actively shuts down inflammation at its source? Because knowing how to reduce workload is powerful, but there's another factor that may matter even more. If apples help your kidneys breathe by reducing their workload, then the next step is even more critical, because once the pressure is lowered, the real enemy begins to reveal itself. That enemy is chronic inflammation, and this is where blueberries quietly change the entire conversation. Inflammation inside the kidneys doesn't announce itself with pain. It works slowly, damaging filtration cells, tightening blood vessels, and accelerating scarring over time. And one of the fastest ways this happens is through repeated blood sugar spikes and oxidative stress. Blueberries address both at the same time from the inside out. I want to tell you about a woman named Linda, a retired school teacher in her late 50s. She came in frustrated. "I eat clean," she told me. "No desserts. Just fruit smoothies every morning." When we looked closer, her smoothies were packed with bananas, mangoes, and juice fruits her kidneys could no longer handle. We didn't remove fruit entirely. We replaced most of it with just half a cup of blueberries 3 to 4 times a week. Nothing dramatic. 5 months later, her lab results stopped worsening. Her creatinine stabilized. And more importantly, she said something that mattered even more. "It feels like my body finally calmed down." That calm has a biological explanation. Blueberries are rich in anthocyanins, the compounds that give them their deep blue color. These molecules are powerful antioxidants that can cross into kidney tissue and directly reduce inflammatory signaling. A landmark study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry showed that anthocyanins reduce kidney-damaging inflammatory markers by up to 45% within weeks of regular intake. But the benefits don't stop there. Blueberries also improve insulin sensitivity, and this matters more than most people realize. Elevated blood sugar doesn't just affect diabetes, it stiffens kidney blood vessels and increases filtration pressure. Research shows that people who regularly consume blueberries have significantly better long-term glucose control, lowering one of the biggest silent drivers of kidney decline. There's also a blood pressure effect. Consistent blueberry intake has been associated with reductions of 4 to 6 points in systolic blood pressure. That may sound small, but over time it translates into a meaningful reduction in kidney stress. Remember, your kidneys are essentially dense networks of tiny blood vessels. When pressure drops, damage slows. Here's the key takeaway. You don't need large amounts. More is not better. Half a cup, fresh or frozen, 3 to 5 times per week. That's enough to shift the internal environment from constant irritation to recovery mode. Frozen blueberries work just as well. Freezing preserves anthocyanins, not destroys them. Blueberries don't just protect, they quiet the storm. And once inflammation is under control, something remarkable becomes possible. Your kidneys can begin repairing themselves instead of just surviving. But here's the part most people don't expect. Reducing inflammation still isn't the final step, because there's another fruit that doesn't just calm damage, it activates your body's internal repair switch at the genetic level. And that changes everything. Once inflammation is finally brought under control, something important changes inside the body. Your kidneys are no longer stuck in survival mode. And when that happens, they don't just slow down damage, they gain the chance to repair. This is where red and purple grapes enter the picture and why they are very different from most other fruits. Red and purple grapes don't work by flushing or filtering. They work by signaling. Inside their dark skins is a compound called resveratrol, a molecule that has been studied for decades in longevity and cardiovascular research. But what many people don't realize is that resveratrol activates a powerful cellular pathway called SIRT, one often referred to as a repair gene. This pathway helps damaged cells clean up, reduce oxidative stress, and restore normal function. And kidney cells are no exception. I once worked with a patient named Michael, early 60s, who had been told his kidney decline was age-related and inevitable. His labs weren't catastrophic, but they were steadily getting worse. We focused on one simple adjustment, introducing a small handful of red grapes a few times per week, eaten whole skins included. 6 months later, his numbers didn't just stabilize. His estimated filtration rate actually improved slightly. He looked at me and said, "I thought kidneys couldn't heal." That belief alone keeps many people stuck. The science tells a different story. Research published in Kidney International has shown that resveratrol can significantly reduce chronic inflammation and oxidative damage in kidney tissue, while improving blood flow through the tiny capillaries that make filtration possible. Remember, your kidneys are essentially dense networks of microscopic blood vessels. When those vessels stiffen or scar, function declines. When they stay flexible, oxygen and nutrients can reach the cells that need to recover. There's another overlooked benefit here. Grapes are naturally hydrating, but gently so. They're nearly 85% water, yet they don't overwhelm the system like excessive fluid intake can. This helps support toxin removal without creating electrolyte imbalance, something weakened kidneys struggle to regulate. Portion matters, though. Grapes still contain natural sugars. The goal isn't excess. About 15 to 20 red or purple grapes 2 to 3 times per week is enough to activate these protective pathways without adding unnecessary load. And color matters. The darker the grape, the higher the resveratrol content. Green grapes simply don't offer the same effect. Here's the deeper message. Your kidneys are not passive organs waiting to fail. They respond to signals. Give them the right ones and repair becomes possible. But even cellular repair needs help clearing what's already built up over time. And this leads us to the final piece, because calming inflammation and activating repair still isn't enough if inflammatory debris and waste remain trapped inside the system. There is one last fruit that quietly clears the path forward, and it may be the most underestimated of them all. After inflammation is reduced and cellular repair is activated, there is still one final obstacle that determines whether kidney recovery actually holds or quietly slips backward again. And that obstacle is buildup. Inflammatory debris, protein fragments, metabolic waste that lingers when kidneys have been under stress for years. This is where most plans fail, because they try to flush aggressively instead of clearing gently. And that's why pineapple becomes so important. Pineapple doesn't work like a detox. It doesn't shock the system. It cleans with precision. Among tropical fruits, pineapple is uniquely low in potassium, making it safer for weakened kidneys than most people expect. But the real power isn't the sweetness. It's an enzyme called bromelain, found most abundantly in the fibrous core. Bromelain breaks down inflammatory proteins and debris that accumulate in tissues when filtration slows. Think of it like loosening hardened residue inside a clogged filter instead of forcing water through at high pressure. That distinction matters. Aggressive detoxes can destabilize electrolytes and spike kidney stress. Pineapple works the opposite way, slow, controlled, and supportive. I remember a patient named Susan, early 60s, who struggled with swelling and heaviness despite doing everything right. She tried herbal cleanses, juice fasts, and overhydration, all of which made her symptoms worse. We stripped it back to one change. Fresh pineapple, half a cup, 2 to 3 times per week, always with a bit of the core. Within weeks, her swelling decreased. Her digestion improved. And for the first time in years, she said, "I don't feel waterlogged anymore." The science explains why. Studies published in Biotechnology Research International show that bromelain can reduce inflammatory markers associated with kidney stress by over 40% while supporting improved tissue circulation. Pineapple also provides vitamin C, which protects kidney cells from oxidative damage during recovery. Together, bromelain clears the battlefield and vitamin C shields what remains. But here's the rule most people miss. Pineapple must be fresh. Canned pineapple is heat-treated, which destroys bromelain almost completely. Without the enzyme, you're just eating sugar. And portion matters. More is not better. 1/2 to 1 cup is enough to support gentle diuresis, helping release excess fluid without triggering electrolyte imbalance. This is the deeper lesson. Healing kidneys don't need force. They need rhythm. Reduce the load, calm the inflammation, activate repair, and clear what's left slowly, consistently, respectfully. But even this isn't the full story, because food alone, no matter how powerful, can only take you so far. There is one final factor that quietly decides whether all of this effort leads to stability or whether kidney decline resumes despite doing everything right. And that last factor is what most people underestimate the most. Before we end, I want you to hear this clearly. If you're watching this right now, it means you care about your health, and that already puts you ahead of most people. Kidney decline doesn't happen overnight, and healing doesn't either. But every small decision you make today matters more than you realize. Choosing the right foods, easing the burden on your kidneys, and giving your body the support it needs can truly change the direction of your health. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need extreme diets or fear-based rules. What your kidneys need most is consistency, patience, and care. And if this video helped you understand your body a little better, do yourself a favor, save this video so you can come back to it whenever you need a reminder. And subscribe to the channel because we share simple, science-based medical insights every week to help you protect your kidneys, lower creatinine, and stay healthy as you age. Most people wait until they're scared to take action. You don't have to. Your kidneys are resilient. They've supported you through years of stress, late nights, dehydration, and habits you didn't even know were hurting them, and they're still working for you right now. When you start working for them in return, real change becomes possible. Take it one step at a time. Stay informed, stay consistent, and remember, healing isn't about doing everything at once. It's about making better choices one day at a time. Your kidneys are not your weakness. With the right knowledge and care, they can become your strength again.